So the most vital thing is simply to be there as a still presence. And is that easy? Yes and no. It is easier if you are connected with the inner body as the stories happen around you, as you're listening. So you are rooted here, deep within. And that keeps you still, keeps your mind still. And from there there's attention that flows out. And in that attention you're aware not only, we come back to the same again, you're aware not only of that which is arising in this moment, which is the story that you're listening to, you're also aware of the field of attention. And as you're aware of the field of attention, it becomes easier to connect with something in that other human being that lies underneath the story. So you can sometimes, to some extent, bypass the story and connect with that human being at a deeper level, where there lies their own stillness. It's nobody's stillness, but just put it like that. Where lies their own field of stillness. So you can miraculously sometimes connect from the stillness within you to their stillness, and then on top you have floating the story. And sometimes that can actually dissolve the story in the other person, or at least shorten it. Because otherwise it goes on and on and on. Some people have stories that they live with for years and years, and just things get added to it. New episodes in my story, latest episode in my story. It is not surprising that people love watching soap operas, because they all have their own one going too, and then they feel better and they say, you see, these people on TV, they have theirs too, so it must all be very real. But at least when you're watching it on TV, you can feel, oh, at least that's not my problem. It does require a high degree of alertness not to be drawn into somebody's story, not to become part of it. Now, they may already have made you part of it in a way. They have already decided that you have your assigned place in their story, and there's nothing you can do about that. But not make it the story continue in your mind and then link into theirs. Almost anything you say in a situation like that is too much. There are questions about the pain body again. Please say something about the pain body, especially in reference to rage and anger. How does one witness this intense energy when it does need to be energetically moved through the body? and somebody else, or the same person, probably it's all the same anyway, there's only one. Could you talk about what you do, what to do, exercise or idea, when a pain body comes on so very quickly and with such intensity? I'm left feeling overpowered by it, and I wonder if you have an idea to pop me into the moment in a flash. My pain body manifests as anger. Anger is the quickest pain body. There is no exercise or technique that can help you here, because any exercise or technique requires time, and that's what you don't have here. Okay, I didn't have time to practice my technique. I'm angry already. If you're very alert, you may catch the arising of anger, which could happen in 1 second, as coming up. If you're very alert, you may catch it there. You may not be able to stop it. Catch it means simply stay aware, watch it. And then already it's gone into your mind, and then perhaps before you know it, words have already come out of your mouth. But you may still be there, although the energy may still be so strong that you can't stop it. Don't even try to stop it. If you try to stop the pain body, it's the same as trying to stop flowing water or stop a kettle from boiling. And so this question rightly asks, how to witness this intense energy when it does need to be energetically moved through the body. When you don't witness it, when it goes into your mind and uses your thinking, then it doesn't really move through the body, because it just stays there. It gets lodged. It can stay for a long time. When you witness it, it moves through more quickly. At least that particular wave movement of the pain body. If you cannot catch it as it arises, at what point you become conscious that of what is happening to you depends on the degree of intensity of your presence. And that'll be interesting to observe as a little experiment. At what point, if a pain body takes you over, and it could be anger or it could be something else, do you actually realize what's happening and are able to feel and watch the energy movement, and even be aware of your thought processes that cooperate with the energy of the pain body, that bring up justifications and reasons why you are so deeply unhappy about this particular situation. And if you look more closely, you can see that this particular situation is actually a very little thing. And your unhappiness, or the pain that you feel about it, is far greater. It's so great that there's really no correlation between a relatively insignificant, tiny event and the amount of pain you feel. And for other people whose pain body does not get triggered by that particular type of trigger, that same event would be absolutely nothing. I've had sometimes people call me, but because there are so many calls and messages, I now tend to not reply. Otherwise I would be replying all day long to phone calls. And it's just the limitations of the human form. But I do listen to it in a field of stillness and peace. And some people they don't get a reply, they try again. And sometimes I do reply, but it could take a long time. And some people are fine, say, okay, I've left 2 messages and I know you must get so many calls. And if you do have a moment, I'll be happy, but if you can't answer, that's fine too. And to others, who have a pain body that has a particular orientation towards being, that gets triggered by not being acknowledged. Perhaps as children they were not acknowledged or ignored. So that particular pain body gets triggered by that particular trigger. They leave 2 or 3 messages, and then the 4th message is, I am totally and utterly disgusted with you. And the amount of pain is enormous. Have I caused this pain? I could feel guilty about this, but I know that I did not cause it. There was this trigger that caused it. And so, to one person it is fine, and a relatively insignificant thing, and to another person it is the source of extreme pain. This the apparent source of extreme pain. It is not, it's only the trigger of extreme pain, because the pain was already there, just waiting for the trigger. And this is another aspect of pain body. The pain body, even the dormant pain body in humans, dormant means when it's not, it is a time when it is not actually actively using your mind, it's just is in the background somewhere, you might not even know it's there. But people with relatively heavy pain bodies, even their dormant pain bodies, they are like dormant cats. Now, if you have observed dormant cats, sleeping cats, they are amazing, because a sleeping cat is not totally asleep, never. A sleeping cat always knows what's going on, and it can tell familiar things that are not threatening from the slightest noise that is unfamiliar, or that could be a mouse. And so cat is there, and you can wash the dishes and slam doors. And then there's the tiniest rustling sound or something. And so pain bodies, there are many pain bodies. When they are dormant, they are like a dormant cat. What they are, all kinds of things can happen around them. It doesn't trigger them. Sometimes could even a big thing. But if they are waiting for something that triggers them, an event or a trigger that pain body responds to. But they are actually waiting for it to happen. The pain body is actually scanning your surroundings, or other people's remarks in a conversation, or reactions, just to... And the moment somebody says something, are you accusing me of... No, I just asked if you had put the garbage out. Are you accusing me of being lazy? Are you saying to me I'm a liar? the cat is awake. Yes, they're cunning little creatures. So certain pain bodies in certain cases are associated in a person's mind with a particular story. It happens that sometimes pain body predominantly is associated with one particular kind of story in the head. And it could be something like, this is what people always do to me. And whoever you meet, the pain body will be looking out for that kind of thing. And it may not be that at all. It will be happy to misinterpret something in order to transform it into a trigger so that it can awaken. So how do you, this cunning creature, how do you defeat it? Because maybe it's even more like a fox is often used as a symbol for cunning, and in a fox it's quite beautiful, and even in a human, the pain body is an expression of, yes, an expression of unconsciousness, an expression of energy that is somehow not flowing freely, a temporary formation, a temporary energy field formation of energy that has become somehow trapped in the body. And yet, that also is life energy. It is energetic. But how do you free that? So there's no point in fighting it, you would be fighting life. But freeing it, that would be good. So that this energy can flow freely again. But that freeing it, of course, implies that it will no longer persist, the energy will no longer persist in this particular form of pain body. The aliveness, yes, it will start flowing again and become transformed. And then it can sometimes happen, you may have experienced an attack of anger, and if you totally accept what you feel, which implies being there as the observing presence and allowing it to be there. And that anger can no longer use your mind then, because instead of thinking, you're the witnessing presence, you're aware, you're watching. The thinker, which is the story of why I'm angry, which is not why you're angry at all, because you're angry because of the pain that you've been carried in there for thousands of years. But the story says, I'm angry because of this, or you. This, that. And if you, then a shift happens from being the thinking entity, you are the witnessing presence. And the witnessing presence allows that energy to be there. And you can feel it fully now. And if you allow anger and you sever the link through alert attention, you sever the link between the anger and your thought processes that explain why you are angry and justify it and blame and accuse, all that being part of the story, and thus, by doing that, feed the pain body again and again. If you can become so alert that you're simply there watching the energy, and then you will know this is the pain body. And this is the suchness of this moment. It is as it is, this moment. And as such, you allow it to be there. And the allowing means you feel it fully. And that means you are bringing a space to it. You are there as the space in which the anger happens. And then it is possible that what was intense anger in a flash becomes transformed into intense energy and intense aliveness. I've met people who've told me that this is what they experienced. What one moment was intense, they allowed it and watched it, and suddenly it became freed, and all they could feel was a sudden burst all over the body of intense energy. It wasn't anger anymore. One could say it was bottled up inside a plastic, we use modern analogies, plastic wrap, and suddenly it bursts, and the energy is freed, and is suddenly experienced that intense aliveness. And they start running suddenly, or moving, don't know what to do with it. It's so much energy. And some people have reported they were able to do it they could even then channel it into creativity. It is better to see that it flows freely, so is not anger, but it transformed into intense energy before you channel it into creativity. Otherwise you create an angry work of art, which, when people watch it, will perhaps trigger the same feeling in them, and you may be very successful. Can be very powerful too. But there's even greater power in something else, and that could have originated in anger, became transformed. Now, if that happens once, it does not mean that the entire energy field of your pain body has now become dissipated. It could, but probably not. It is one particular wave movement that came. It's very hard to describe in visual terms, because one cannot actually see the pain body unless you're very psychic. Some psychics may be able to see energy fields in the body, but you can certainly feel it even if you're not psychic in yourself, and you can also feel it even if you're not very psychic in another person. You can actually feel it even if the other person says to you, "I'm perfectly fine." And if you should meet anybody in the street whose pain body is also just underneath the surface, often this is how people meet and get into an argument very quickly, or get attacked by somebody. I didn't do anything. He just came up to me and started shouting. I was just walking along. Or he just came up and started accusing me of this or that. I don't know. Pain bodies recognize each other. So if your pain body is active at any time, and you go out into the world, or even if it's just underneath the surface, the likelihood of meeting other pain bodies is much greater, interacting with others, because they're looking for others, because they strengthen itself not only through using your mind, but also mutually through other people's reactions. So there are people in this world, many, They look quite normal on the outside, but what they're really looking for is more pain. They're walking pain bodies. Where can I? And then they'll choose the right one that's most likely to give them what they want. They're looking for trouble. And so when that is very strong, you can actually, without being a psychic, see the pain body through people's eyes, the raw emotion of it. And the frightening thing is, many of them are driving cars. There are no statistics yet as to how many accidents are caused by driving pain bodies. Probably 80%. So because the pain body is so cunning, you need great alertness. You need this, we used this analogy before, you need the sword of presence to be able to be present as it arises in yourself or somebody else. So you can watch it. In yourself, most importantly. The most beautiful thing in a relationship is if you can say to your partner, I can feel my pain body right now. When you said that, that got triggered. That means you're conscious. You may not yet be free of pain body, but you're conscious with it. And that's beautiful. So you could use